The drama surrounding Gervonta Tank Davis has taken on a new shape, literally. When he walked into the Jake Paul press conference, thicker through the chest and arms, traps high, midsection tight, the first murmur through the room wasn't about trash talk. It was about scale. Not the ceremonial one on stage, but the real one implied by his frame. Clips from camp only pushed that conversation further. Everything to the body, everything designed to dent the fuel tank of a naturally bigger man. You could hear it in the pads, thud, 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 levels changing, elbows pried open, ribs drummed until hands have no choice but to fall. The old tank hunted heads. This version stalks the engine room first, and it feels less like a mid-camp experiment than a statement of intent. He knows what he's up against, and he's building the answer from the ground up. That is why the talk about weigh-in numbers means more than gossip. Insiders swear Tank has walked around near 160 before. The surveillance-style clips from past camps showed him casually tipping a convenience store scale at 150. The whispered audio from old war rooms insisting his walk-around can swell to middleweight territory in the dead of training. Call him compact, not small. A bowling ball with timing. For Jake Paul, whose rehydrated frame can live around 200 plus, the visual mismatch is obvious. But distance and discipline are the equalizers Tank has trusted his whole career, and this time he's laying bricks to reach the balcony. A 5'5" southpaw leaning into orthodox reps, teaching his feet to write the first paragraph while his hands compose the last. Those are not vanity drills. Those are tripwires for a taller man who thinks height is a guarantee. Watch the footage closely, and you see the game plan breathe. No headhunting shootouts. No chasing a chin he can't see. It's the quiet cruelty of bodywork, hooks folded under the elbow, shovel shots skimming the belt line, straights to the solar plexus after feints upstairs, designed to make a big fighter feel small in the late rounds. If the gas burns quicker, the jab slows. If the jab slows, the doorway opens. If the doorway opens, that famous sudden left from Tank arrives like a verdict. It's not that he can't land high early. It's that he doesn't need to. The 6th, 7th, and 8th are where patience cashes checks. Voices around the sport have lined up to color the picture. Sean Porter, never stingy with hard truths, calls Tank what he is at his core, a dog. Not reckless, not one speed, but the sort of fighter who will wear earmuffs, read your patterns, and do what the night demands. Showbiz has hammered the point that small is the laziest lie attached to Davis. Look past division labels, and you see density, leverage, and the kind of planted balance that lets a 130-pound era punch like a welter. That's why his knockouts don't come off lucky. They're built off inches, not leaps. Off the knowledge that if your weight is right and your eyes are quiet, your opponent's bigger body will carry your power farther than yours needs to. Under the lights, of course, bigness isn't just physical, it's narrative. Clarissa Shields pressed him publicly, saying a champion shouldn't float retirement talk before answering Shakur, Teofimo, or anyone else sharpening knives at 135 and 140. The sentiment resonated with purists who have been waiting on those fights for years. Tank's response, fans aren't managers, was short but revealing. There's a steeliness now, shaped by the backlash after a flat night and the grind of a year layered with personal storms. Leonard Ellerby cut through the noise with a detail most overlook. Motivation isn't a faucet you turn on for every name on a bout sheet. Through cancellations, venue drama, and legal turbulence, there were weeks Tank was present in camp but absent in spirit. He's not a machine. He's a man who came to boxing to get out, not to fulfill anyone else's checklist. That origin story still drives him, fighting to stay ahead of the life he escaped. And then there are the skeptics who don't hate Tank so much as they fear what this night represents. Daniel Cormier watched the presser and saw a mismatch packaged as a spectacle. Weight caps drifting, confusion over limits, the circus barker energy blotting out the science. Others echoed him. Exhibitions have a place, but not in the prime of careers. They worry that if nights like this become the standard, merit loses to momentum, and every great fight becomes a thumbnail war. Eddie Hearn was blunt. It will do numbers, but at a cost. Sean Porter countered with the reality fighters live with. If the sport won't love you back, cash the life-changing check when it knocks. Then come home to the contenders who've been calling. Dana White, rarely shy with a bomb, added a different math. He doesn't love the matchup, but he knows the currents of attention. Jake Paul is a gateway drug for audiences boxing rarely reaches anymore. If Tank walks through that door and drags those new eyes back to 135 for a real title run, the sport gains as much as the fighter. It's a cynical truth with a hopeful upside. Sometimes the wrong road is the quickest way back to the right arena, as long as you don't forget where you're going. Strip away the commentary and the fight still has a clean, cruel logic. Jake's size makes his jab a gate. Tank's head rhythm is the key. The bigger man wants space and long exchanges. The shorter man wants corridors and moments. One fights comfortably when the ring feels wide. The other thrives when the ring gets small. If Tank keeps the floor tilted with body work, if he disciplines his feet so that every entry is from an angle and every exit leaves a question, he doesn't need to solve the size. He needs to outlast its advantages until timing takes over. If Jake uses his weight responsibly, posting on Tank's shoulder, framing, walking him into a right he doesn't load but just places, then the internet sees the upset it was promised. Somewhere between those pictures is the truth we'll be arguing about long after the bell. Maybe that's why, even through all the groaning, everyone will watch. The purists will measure every feint and clinch. The casuals will hold their breath on the first clean clash. The algorithm will do what it does. And Tank, bulkier, quieter, aiming downstairs with malice, will try to show that brawn without craft is just noise. And craft with purpose can mute even the loudest room. If this deep dive hit, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown. Now talk to me in the comments. Is Tank's body-first blueprint the perfect way to shrink Jake Paul over 10 rounds, or does the size gap make this an unnecessary gamble? If he dominates, who should be next? Shakur, Teofimo, someone at 140? Or does the exhibition lane still make sense for one more mega bag? And be honest, are you watching for the sport, the spectacle, or a little bit of both? Drop your take below, share this with that friend who swears they won't tune in but always does, and I'll see you on fight night.